Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Are You Listening with Abigail. Thank you for coming back. It is officially September when I'm recording this. We're the first few days in, and I'm not joking, the weather, if you're in the UK, the weather right now is absolutely mental. It goes from pouring down with rain, but like pouring down, to pure sunshine in the space of a few minutes. So I feel like I've seen so many TikToks and stuff over the last week of people being excited for autumn and September and it's cozy weather, and I can't really get on board with it yet. I think summer is not done until the end of September. I can't remember the exact date, but I know that we've got a few more weeks of what should be summer, and I go on holiday next week, so I can't partake in autumn cozy sort of feeling until then. I would actually quite like a little bit of sun until I come back off my holiday. But yes, so today I wear a jumper and stuff like in every single episode, but I washed my hair and I thought, you know what, I'll try and get as cozy as I can to try and fit the vibe, but I just would like everyone to know this is a public service announcement that I'm actually not getting involved in autumn until I'm back off my holiday. So, I know I started last week a little bit differently, and I'm going to start exactly the same this week. As everyone knows, I am so excited to now be, working with Trip, the drink brand, but I've got a discount code for them, and they are one of my favourite brands ever. And today, I have got the Blood Orange Rosemary, which is a magnesium and botanicals blend. So that is what we're going for. Quick bit of ASMR, yeah. Love that. And I'm going to take a quick sip. I mean, that is ASMR if anyone can hear that. Anyway, let's put that on the side. And we will get into this week's episode. I wrote in my weekly thoughts list. I basically had a conversation with a client, and I thought it would be a really good starting point for an episode topic. So I wrote down, they're not thinking about you as much as you think. And I basically want to talk about how to stop caring what everyone thinks about you. I think this is something that, regardless of what age, we have all experienced at some point in our lives. And it's not that I don't care what people think about me, because I feel like so it's really windy outside. I feel like I can hear the door banging. As a human, I feel like ultimately we always somewhat care what people think about us. But I would like to think I've been doing this and putting myself, I suppose, online and out there for quite a long time now, that I care a lot less what people think about me. So I kind of wanted to talk about that, as I think a lot of people could benefit from this episode. So I wrote down, you know that horrible feeling when you want to post something or try something new and all you can think about is what people think about you. The idea of people you went to school with watching your stuff and whispering about it. That is a really relatable feeling. Really relatable. You know, I started my business at 22. It was a business, the business is obviously lashes, and I was doing makeup at the time. Well, I started actually with makeup first, advertising. I needed people to come to me to do makeup. So I had to post about my work. I had to post about me, like do my own makeup, post about that. I then started doing like talking videos to the camera, because I realised I needed to start to build a bit of a personal brand, and that created the bridge between client and business owner, and that brought in more people. But ultimately, putting yourself out there and putting yourself on the internet, it felt cringy and embarrassing. And it is I can't remember actually what it's called, but obviously there is that whole thing of you hate the way your own voice sounds. And I completely get that. I don't want to say I love the way that my voice sounds now, but I do think it's not a normal situation to be listening back to your own voice. That's not something, it's a very new thing for that to be the case, unless obviously you as an actor, actress, or I don't know, like radio host, something like where you are going to be listening to your own voice back. But it is not normal to listen to yourself back on a video, which is why most people hear themselves and go, oh my God, I hate the sound of my own voice. But realistically, you just get used to it. I'm not going to sit and say I love the sound of my own voice, but I don't cringe at myself talking. It took a long time, obviously, to not feel like that, but it did feel cringy and embarrassing when I first did it. So I wanted to just give a few psychological facts as to like why we care about people's opinions, because when you do actually think about it, it is crazy that why do we care what people think? So I did a bit of research, and these are I've just written a few little things down. So humans are wired to seek approval, which goes back to tribal days. Being rejected could literally mean danger or death. Our brains still treat disapproval like a threat, which actually makes so much, because that's literally how it feels when you get disapproval, or you're doing something that is, someone basically goes against or gives a different opinion on. It feels like danger in our heads. I then put the spotlight effect, which apparently is a cognitive bias where we massively overestimate how much people notice and care about what we are doing. And I've seen this girl on TikTok where she basically puts herself in situations. I think she does a lot of rejection therapy stuff, and she says she's based her whole TikTok and created a whole big following off of the fact she used to care so much what people think about her that she actively would go and do things that would mean that people reject or disapprove of what she's doing because it's not the social norm. But it is so true. And I do say it to a lot of people when people ask me, how do you do these things without caring what people think? Most people don't care. They don't care. If you was to actually, go outside and start filming yourself, as much as it feels weird and embarrassing, people don't care what you're doing. They don't. They literally will just be like, they'll look, they'll process it, and they will walk on. That's it. I've then put, most people are far too wrapped up in their own lives to think about you for longer than a second. So, if you put a post out, or like when I started my podcast, I put the first podcast episode out, people I know very easily could look at it and be like, I wonder why she started a podcast. But once that has gone, if they're not interested in looking into it or listening to it themselves, that's it. That's the only thought they've ever had about it. Most of the time, people will not sit and dwell on it like you do. That's it. And then I put our fear. Then I've written down, our fear of embarrassment is often worse than the embarrassment itself. It's anticipation, anxiety, not reality. So like the feeling of doing it, it's like, oh my god, I couldn't bear I couldn't film myself talking and then put it on my story. Oh, I just couldn't. The worst bit is recording the video and then it playing back, and like when you do it on like Instagram and then it will play back until you press post. That is the worst bit. Once you've pressed post, you don't have to watch it again. You don't have to check who's watched it, but you've done it. That's it. That's the hardest part. So I just thought they were like a few interesting things, and it makes complete sense as to why we feel like it. Like it is psychologically actually wired into us to feel like that. So I just wanted to give a little experience with my business and obviously putting myself out there. I am literally on a podcast right now, recording myself talking, and a lot of people could be sitting and judging what I'm doing right now. They could listen and be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't care. I just think I've had a lot of good feedback. I really enjoy doing these. I like talking. And if there is someone out there listening going, this is shit, then so be it. You're not going to please everyone. But I don't want to sweep over the fact all of this felt very awkward in the beginning. If I hadn't pushed past the what if people from school or local people or family, what they thought of me, I wouldn't be where I am today. I have a very successful lash and brow business, to the point I had a client come in yesterday, and I think it's a bit of a full circle moment when things like this happen. I had a brand new client come in yesterday for a patch test, and I was asking how she found me. She said she spoke to, I think it was her hairdresser who recommended me, and then she was still thinking about it, still not sure if she wanted to have her lashes done. Then went to go meet with a friend and mentioned it. That same friend recommended me, which made her book. The fact that my name and my business name has got such a, what would the word be? Such exposure within the area I'm in and surrounding areas now is mental. And I couldn't ask for anything more. That's what you want from a business. Word of mouth is the biggest bringer in, that's not a word, but you know what I mean. It brings in the most clients. Word of mouth will always win when it comes to things. So if I didn't put myself out there, the first client in the beginning of this, what would the word be? Sorry, my mind is just like not with it today. So there's 3 people in the situation. If I hadn't ever posted about my business and the way I did things and really put myself out there, the first client would never have booked with me. Now her mum comes to me, and now her friend is now coming to me. So I've got 3 clients from doing them posts. Obviously I've got a lot more than that, but that's just an example. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have a thriving business. And the funniest thing is not only would I not have a thriving business, but I would not be working with the largest lash brand in the UK. Now, I just want to make this clear because I'm guessing a lot of people listening to this don't know me as a lash tech or with a bit of authority within the lash industry. That's the only way I can kind of put it. But I do. I don't have loads and loads of followers. On Instagram, I think I've got about like 3,000 followers. On my TikTok, I've got about 2,000 followers. And these are on my work lash accounts. When I first started working with the lash brand I work with, they reached out to me, and I've got a lot less followers than most people that could have been offered that opportunity. So many more. I was contacted directly by the owner who, when I had a call with him, he basically said, like, I've been watching your stuff, you're very good, you are exactly what we're looking for, and it's got nothing to do with following this, that, the other. It's your morals, it's the way you put yourself across, it's the way you run your business, it's the knowledge you have, it's the skill you have. And he would never have known that I exist if I didn't put myself on the internet, ever. So I am the biggest advocate of just do it, just post it. I have been a lash tech for 7 years now, and I was contacted by him when I had been doing it for just over 5 years. That is a long time to be in an industry before you're noticed. A long time. But sometimes it takes the long road to get to where you want to be. The role didn't even exist before it was created for me and the other girl that does it with me. The role didn't exist before. That would never ever have happened if I had not been putting myself on the internet. You've got to think the fact that obviously I understand trying for something, it can feel embarrassing. I'm not sure why, but if you're seen trying and like grafting for something, it is almost seen as embarrassing, but actually it's the bravest thing you can do because you're actually putting yourself out there and you are trying what most people won't. So I don't know why that's the case, but it's mental, yeah, like to be seen. And I suppose maybe it's just still not the norm working for yourself, starting a business, doing this, putting yourself on the internet, doing things that are more creative than I suppose your average corporate 9 to 5. I suppose it is different, and maybe that's why it's seen as, well, you haven't taken, the normal route, and that's almost weird that you didn't do that, and maybe that's why it feels embarrassing. But yeah, I think it's the bravest thing by far. So, like I said, I'm sure I said I had a client come in who basically what she wants to do, I'm not going to give details, but what she wants to be doing work-wise, she knows she's got to start posting herself on the internet, and she was saying that she keeps holding back. She knows she's got to do it, but she keeps holding back. I get it, and everyone feels that way in the start. But actually not taking action and just doing it means that you will be stuck and you will just be delaying what could be very, very successful. I said to her, I explained everything I'm explaining on this podcast episode, and that's exactly why I'm recording it, because I think coming from someone that I get it. I'm not just saying I get it and I haven't done it. I really do get it. And I don't want anyone to sit and think that I've always been very confident in doing this, because I haven't. I remember posting them first few stories on Instagram, just chatting. Do not watch them back in the first few times you do it. But you know what? One bit of advice: the more you do it, start watching them back, because the more you get used to hearing your voice, the less embarrassed you'll feel, the less you will pick it apart. Also, and I know I'm like jumping a little bit here, but one other tip is, do not use filters on your face when you're doing it as well, because that just down the line will create a dysmorphia like no other. I've never used filters on my face, or maybe if I did, it was very early on and they weren't these wild ones you get now. But a very long time, probably about 5 years ago, I just stopped using filters on my face when I recorded my talking, because it creates dysmorphia. It's not good for you. You'll then pick yourself apart. You are better off getting used to the way you look and sound. It will do a lot more for you, I promise you. But yeah, I had a really good conversation with her. She hasn't started doing it yet, but she knows she's got to. And realistically, if I can do it and she can do it, then anyone can do it. Anyone can. I wanted to talk a bit like the influencer culture and how it seems embarrassing and everyone takes a piss out of influencers. And I actually find it mental that we still, to this day, influencers been around for a while, and even now people will take the piss out of influencers, and it's not a real job, and this, that and the other, and what are you going to do after that? When they are the ones making the big money, creating opportunities and living more freely than the majority of people. We live in an age now where you can make money off of doing anything. Yet we, like I said, if you see people that are willing to try to do that or do something different, we will badmouth them. We will talk about the fact that influencing isn't actually a job. I will see in so many comments when people will refer themselves as an influencer, and people will be like in the comments going, well, what is it you're influencing? I just find it mental that so many people's brains are still to bring influencers down. So I do think that a lot of the people who mock it, one, is it an age of people that still don't understand it maybe, and they don't understand the large scale of money and opportunities that these people can create for themselves? Maybe. But do I think that actually a lot of people in the comments, or the people that mock this, secretly wish they had the courage to do it or want to be doing it themselves? Yeah, I do think there is probably a massive part of that. And actually, it's never really about you, and it's about their own insecurities. They're watching these influencers open all their PR and knowing that they're being paid for all these, taking on brand trips and getting all this stuff and getting all these opportunities. When it is met with so much hate, the only people who ever dish out shit like that are the people who are unhappy in themselves, because the people who are clapping for them are so pleased, or like, wow, this is inspiring, it means I could do this. Or they don't want to do it, but they appreciate the hard work that goes into it, how incredible it is that they've created this opportunity and what they are reaping the benefits of it now. Yeah, I just think anyone who's ever going to tear you down, it always comes from a place of jealousy, a lack of understanding. Probably they're in a very unhappy place. Maybe they're unhappy in their job, in their life, and wanting to create freedom, but they don't have the confidence to do it. And I just think the whole aspect around, the whole look. Not the look, sorry, my brain is literally like, words are just not flowing today, but the whole misconception with influencers, I think over the next few years, and over the next 5-10 years, however long it's going to be going on for, I do think people will just start to accept it a lot more. So I just want to give I've written a few little tips. Like I said, I didn't want this to come across like I was just telling everyone what to do, or like, oh, I don't get embarrassed about this, or blah blah blah, and I don't want it to come across like that. I want it to be more like, this is my opinion, this is how I see it. But I would like to give some tips to anyone who's listening, wanting to start posting themselves, I don't know, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel. It doesn't even have to be anything to do with that, but anything that means you put yourself out there. I just would like to give a few tips, or I don't know, maybe a few things that help can reframe your mindset a little bit. So the first thing, ask yourself, whose opinion actually matters here? Friends, family, clients, yourself, versus random old classmates. At the end of the day, if you've got friends and family that are taking the piss out of what you're doing, they don't really sound like people that should really be around, or you should be allowing kind of into the energy of what you're trying to achieve on the next step of what you're trying to get, or the next place you're trying to get to. You shouldn't really be letting them into that energy, to be honest. Anyone who is questioning, giving bad opinions, or maybe a bit like, why are you doing that? Instantly, for me, it's okay, if they are not someone that you can cut out of your life, which I appreciate, they are not someone that you communicate or you talk to about these situations or what you are trying to do. But when it comes to those random classmates or people you went to school with, or people, I don't know, like your boyfriend's friends, I don't know, people you'd maybe care, you need to sit and think, like, does their opinion actually matter here? No, it really, really doesn't. So I think that's the first thing to ask yourself. The only opinion that matters is actually your own. It's your own at the end of the day, and the people you're trying to attract into what you are doing. Number 2, you need to sit and reframe the embarrassment. It's only embarrassing until it works. That is the thing that really annoys me about it, is that you see people trying and they'll sit and be like, oh God, that's so embarrassing. But the minute you get to where you want to be, you become inspiring. You become inspiring to them. And wow, do you remember Abigail we went to school with? She's all of a sudden, she's working for the largest lash brand in the UK. How incredible is that? Probably some of the same people that when I started, they're a bit like, well, Abigail's posting that she's doing lashes. Oh God, her lashes are shit. Or what's she trying to do there? That is the thing. It's only embarrassing until you achieve it to other people, and then you are inspiring. You have also got to remember, number 3, people only laugh at those who try because they're too scared to try it themselves. And I think that is a really big reframing moment that you need to sit and just tell yourself. They will only laugh and they will only find it embarrassing because they probably want to do it as well, but they just won't. Number 4. Is that number 4? Yeah. The right people will cheer, not mock. And like I said, I think that the people who will mock you is someone you either need to cut them out if you can, or they're people you need to just keep separate from what you're doing, and they don't need to see it. You don't need to converse with them about it. And the last one, number 5, I think. Post it. Do the thing, start the project for your future self, not for the people who scroll past, they'll watch it, maybe judge it, not like it, and keep scrolling. They literally, I'm not joking, you will probably take up no more than 10 seconds of their time. No more than 10 seconds. But if you think about what your future self wants and what your future self will thank you for starting now, because if you keep putting it off, what I achieved in 5 years. Imagine I just kept putting that off. I would never have got that opportunity, and I might not have, 1, ever got it, or 2, it would have just come a few months after that. So yeah, that's the big takeaway from this. But I just kind of want to bring it back to the fact that caring less about people's opinions creates more space for growth, joy, and success, and it just creates more personal freedom. I understand that when you are a teenager, when you are in your early 20s, it is very easy to let what people care about, what people think about you, get to you a lot more. You're used to being around a lot of people your own age and things like that. The longer you are out of school, you will then start to understand that actually no one cares. No one cares at all. And yeah, I just think if you stop caring what people think, you'll realise it's actually the most powerful business decision that you'll ever make, especially if there is something that you want to, create or monetize or create or start a business. It really will be the most powerful business decision you ever make. So yeah, that's kind of it for that one. I care a lot about this topic, and I could talk about this for a really, really long time, because it's obviously something that, if I had never listened to myself or pushed myself, or, if I cared too much about what other people thought of me, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. I wouldn't have the opportunity to sit and make this podcast. I make no money off this podcast currently, but I sit and I do it because I just think I really feel deep down, so far everything I have tried, I have succeeded in, from pushing and not stopping and not caring what people think. And I think with the podcast, I really feel it could be the same. It will probably take me a long time to get there, but I'm really willing to do the work. People I know, people I haven't spoke to for a very long time, people that I maybe would think wouldn't ever listen to my podcast, have messaged me saying how much they enjoy it, how much they relate to it, how much it's helped them, or they've just enjoyed it. So I just think if I really sat and I let it bother me, or think, oh God, actually, there's probably people I went to school with, I left school how long did I leave school now? 16, 17, 18, 19, 13 years ago now? Sixth form, 11 years ago, is that right? Something like that. Why the fuck would I still care what them people think? Honestly. So, yeah, I could talk about this forever, this topic, but I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. If you are listening on Spotify, please, please, please rate the podcast, because it honestly makes such a difference to get this podcast out there a lot more. Share it with your friends, share it with people you think need to hear this. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, comment. A few of the videos have done really well, and I've started to have a few comments and stuff, so I really, really appreciate that. And honestly, I'm loving creating these podcast episodes. I'm going on holiday next week. The plan is, over the weekend before I go, I'm going to record a few episodes. I would actually quite like to record one while I'm out there. I am really going to try my best to make sure that I have got enough organised, and my type A brain kicks into gear, that I have got episodes lined up for the weeks I'm away. But if there is a week that I'm not, I will post something about ones that I think would be really good to listen to in the meantime. But I will see everyone in next week's episode. Bye, guys.